Our next section, this is called finger tricks. These are going to be tricks with our fingers. There's lots of tricks with fingers, and we're going to begin with the most popular. And this is Chomp. It's one I do in all my kids shows, and I get a great response from it. It's amazing how it works actually, because it really is just a matter of convincing them with your presentation and your acting ability. What I'm going to do is I like eating fingers, and this is what I do. They're very tasty. They really are. Not bad. This has got great reactions, especially when I do it for children. It all works by conditioning them to believing that you're actually placing your finger into your mouth. You actually do it for the first couple of times. But on the third attempt, what you do is you bring your mouth up to your finger up to your mouth, and you bend your finger in just so the bottom knuckle is touching the teeth. You then pretend to chomp down, and then you act as though you're struggling to tear the finger from your teeth. As you pull it away, they can see that the finger, or tip of the finger, is actually missing, and they believe you've just swallowed it. Here's another effect where you gather up a small ball of saliva with your spit and just swallow it, so it gets the impression that you're actually swallowing something. Once you're in this position, you can immediately go into trying to restore the finger by grabbing it with the other hand and simply relaxing the finger and letting it pull straight out of your fist. It's amazing some of the reactions I've got from this trick, so don't underestimate it because of its simple acting effect. It really does actually work. The next trick we're going to do is an extra finger production. This is a trick where we show both hands. You can see the hands are completely. All we do is we go 1, 2, 3, and we have an extra finger. But we can make it go back away, just like this. So there's a classic gag, used when you interlock your fingers. Most people, when they interlock the fingers, place them alternately, one finger between the other. As a magician, all we're doing is we're using one finger and we're interlocking 3 fingers between the 3 gaps, which leaves us with 1 finger remaining. So instead of doing that, which is what the audience will do, we're actually doing that. This allows us to produce an extra finger. Now in itself, there's a few jokes you can do with this approach, but you can also do some other levitations. Beyond this video, if you're holding a pen or had something you want to levitate something off the ground, once you've done this to lift it, you've got a finger here to grab hold of something and lift it up off the ground. There's also another effect, and I think in the other books, where you place a shoe onto your hands, and once you're holding up here with the shoe, you balance it on the finger so it's lifting like so. There's other ways you can do this, but otherwise it's just a simple and extra finger production. Finger crack. Finger crack is an old classic gag. Basically what we're going to do is I'm going to take my finger and go. You can do this with spectators, you can do this with anybody. It's a simple approach, and once you get it down flat, you can get a great response. The fingers aren't exactly clicking today, but that is the actual secret of the trick. What you need to do is you pretend to yank the finger backwards, and with the finger in front of the right hand, because the left hand finger is the one we're using, we yank it back and click my fingers at the same time. It gets that weird kind of painful noise. It really gets people cringing, and you can just do this throughout every one of the fingers. What really sells it though is when you take a spectator who's watching this and take one of their fingers and do it to them. It really kind of grosses them out. The next trick we're going to do is called the finger stretch. This is a great effect. I do this quite often, and it simply involves this. You can see my little finger like so. What I'm going to do is take the finger and give it a little rub. And if you watch very, very carefully, the finger will get bigger and 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 bigger until eventually it's so big that you can see it. Wow, that's pretty big, that one. Let me push it back in. Oh! There we go. That's the finger stretch. This is a 2-part illusion. It's 2 parts of the finger stretch, and we're combining them both together to make a complete trick. The first is an optical illusion. All we do is with the finger like this and the hand like so, we're using the bottom 3 fingers of the right hand and the top finger of the right hand, are covering the left finger, forefinger, and we're giving it a little gentle rub. We do this in repetition. And the more we do it, the slowly the right hand starts to come back on the left finger. So there's more and more of the left finger showing. When done, it looks to the naked eye that your finger is actually growing. It's an amazing optical illusion, and it really works. The next part of the trick is when I bring my hand down, and we're going to cross my fingers so that this top right finger here is going to look like the top of the left finger on the left hand. I'll show that in one go. We can see that clearly there. What I'm actually doing is crossing my fingers on my right hand, and the left finger is practically entering the gap so it looks like one finger, with this index finger of the right hand covering over the fingernail. So we have one long finger. When compared to the rest, it looks absolutely giant in size, and by perspective from a small distance they can't tell that there's one finger slightly forwarder than the other. To get into position, once we've got to here, all I'm doing is I'm twisting my finger and I'm putting my finger on top of the right index and covering it with the nail so that they're secured like so. And once here, I can extend all the fingers, come back up to the top and show all 4 fingers, including the large one. So from here, we're going down, doing the cross and back up again. So it's more of the big movement covering the little movement again. From here, big movement of coming down and then back up so you can see the large finger. To return the finger, I simply return my hand towards the spectator, twisting my right fist so that it now covers the tip of the finger, and I pretend to push it back in before just simply letting go. It's another cool effect, and that was called the finger stretch. This next trick is called finger test. It's a trick which sometimes works with hypnosis. What you're asking your spectator to do is hold out the hands with both fingers pointing towards each other. You ask them in one sudden way to make the fingers touch the tips of each other like so. The way you do this though is you do it assertively, and you do it with some kind of emphasis on the speed at which they do it. So the beginning part of the trick is you've got the hands further apart than each other, and you say, I want you to touch your fingers together so that the 2 ends are touching each other. Do it now. Because they're doing it now, and because you've put some emphasis on the speed and the power, they usually always miss. One finger will go on top of the other. This is because they've not got the time to concentrate and get it at the right type of the right level. When you do it the second time, or when you supposedly hypnotize them to actually fix this for them, what you're actually doing is their hands are closer together, because they're not back here anymore, they're closer, and you give them all the time in the world. You say just relax, calm down, and simply allow the fingers to touch each other, and they will pretty much be able to do it. It's a trick which works with haste and pace. Your presentation is important. You've got to make sure that you ask the spectator simply to deliberately try and get them to touch. You'll probably never be able to do it. The next trick is called the finger through the cheek. This trick I credit to Andrew Main, who came up with the effect. It was presented in his video Shock Magic, which I strongly recommend because it has some amazing effects in it other than this one, along with variations of this effect which we're going to do, which are actually, I find, in my opinion, are slightly stronger, but this is still a good effect in itself. With this finger through cheek, what we've got here is a nice cool cheek. What you might not be able to see is the invisible hole. Can you see the invisible hole? No? Well, let me show you. What we're going to do is take my cheek like this, and I'll place my finger through the cheek. If you saw that, you should saw my finger wiggling into my mouth. I'll do it one more time. Yeah, a bit sore there. This trick is an amazing illusion. It really has freaked people out. Principally, you're just taking the finger and thumb of your cheek, of your top lip, and pulling it forward, like so. Your actual little finger, which is the one going to be penetrating the cheek, will be yanking the side of the mouth backwards at her. Together, it looks as though there's the actual mouth of the cheek it comes back to the centre of the cheek normally does, and pulling the lip forward hides that fat. Now when the spectator looks from in front, all they can see is the finger going through somewhere where the cheek should be and entering the mouth. But because you're pulling the lip forward, they simply cannot see that the mouth's been pulled back. It takes a bit of work, and lighting is important because they have to look inside the mouth. So you want to do this somewhere where they can actually see inside the mouth. But as I say, if you recommend Chomp video with Andrew Main, he has some variations on this trick and it is well worth buying. Finger through finger. This is another one of my favourite effects. I came up with it a while ago, trying to find out a way of nice doing a finger penetration. What we have is our finger here. If I take this little finger here, I can make one finger pass right through the other. Watch very carefully as I go 1, 2, 3. Wait, just needs a little rub. 1, 2, 3. One finger passes through the other. Let me show you that again nice and clearly. Watch. Nothing's going around, nothing's going over. Watch very carefully. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I just missed them, but I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3. This is a cool trick, and what really sells it is when you take a spectator and you do it to their fingers. Once I've done this effect, what I do is I invite a spectator up, they hold up their hand, and I make this finger go right through their finger. The secret is actually extremely simple. All we're doing is when my finger comes down, I hit it, it slides off and it flicks back underneath. However, there are some subtleties which make this trick work a lot better than it should. Firstly, on the first few attempts, I'm coming straight down. If I was to come straight down and do this trick, my finger ends up away from the finger. So when I'm coming straight down for the first 2 strikes, on the third one, I'm actually tilting my hands and pulling it at a slight angle so that the finger ends up underneath. This is important because you want the idea that the finger's just passed right under. With this approach also, it means the finger ends up directly underneath the finger at the exact same time. It makes for the whole effect to be a tiny bit more stronger. You want it to go wrong once or twice, and in fact this is something I do with the children. When I pretend on the third strike it doesn't work, I give it a little better as though it was like just making it perfect, and I go 1, 2, and then it happens on the second effect. Because it's gone wrong the first time, it kind of emphasises the fact that it's not going to work, so when it does work it doubles the impact. Is this finger food finger, and it can be done with other effects. I do this actual trick with pens and pencils and various other items when I've got them at my disposal, but nothing actually kind of works stronger than doing it through the spectator's finger. When you take the spectator's finger and make yours pass through theirs, they really do get a shot.